Bueno, buenas tardes, buenas noches a todos. Ya estamos llegando al final de nuestro simposio. Les agradezco un montón a todos aquellos que sigan estando acá con nosotros. Esto ha sido una tarde riquísima, muy enriquecedora en todos los sentidos. Ahora voy a cambiar a hablar en inglés porque voy a presentar a nuestra última expositora. So, hello, Kay Norton. We have reached the end of our symposium, and our last speaker will be Professor Kay Norton. Professor Norton is a professor of musicology at Arizona State University School of Music. She has blended research from musicology, anthropology, philosophy, medical history, psychology of music, and neuroscience to argue the centrality of the melodious voice in human existence. Her 2011 article in the Journal of Medical Humanities has been cited in venues such as the Journal of Clinical Nursing, Health, and Psychological Studies. Norton presented at the International Association of Music and Medicine Neuroscience and the International Conference on Palliative Care, and has keynoted Music Brain Conference at Rice University and the Eastman School of Music. She is co-editing the recently contracted Oxford Handbook of Community Singing, forthcoming in 2023. Dr. Norton is also an active scholar in US sacred music. Professor Norton will talk today about singing and well-being. Dr. Norton, thank you very much for joining us, and you can start now.
Thank you very much. Let me just share my screen. And I'm sure you'll let me know if I'm having trouble. So, hola. My paper is entitled, How Singing Supports Well-Being. In my research to date, I try to make scientific findings about music more available to the general public. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this transformative conference. Today, I argue that the inflected voice, and by that I mean singing, chanting, reciting, even speaking, remains a largely untapped resource in our quest for optimum health and well-being. Further, the singing you do today may be useful to you in later life. Music is among the most complex and multi-domain of brain stimuli. Singing activates more regions than speaking. And because singing is both linguistic and musical, singing recruits more areas of the brain than non-vocal music does. This diagram by Sarcamo and Chivonen color codes the regions of the brain activated while singing. And here we go. I'm going to pronounce some Spanish. Verde, the basic auditory pathway. Azul, areas engaged in perception of musical syntax. Amarillo, attention and short-term memory. Morado, episodic or autobiographical memory. Marrón, the motor components of singing. And naranja, some of the brain's reward centers. While singing, the auditory cortex, here shown azul, continually engages with the pathways devoted to the motor aspects of singing, roja. The clinical findings I will introduce today represent fresh nuances about how singing supports well-being, but these large topics are not brand new. Outside the scientific community, and especially by music therapists, singing has been used in these ways for generations. Singing can help regain speech in dementia and after brain trauma, improve gait rhythm in Parkinson's disease, support immune function, reward and motivate, and support group bonding. First, regain speech in dementia and after brain trauma. McGuire and others found that after 4 months of regular group singing, general cognition and visuospatial processing improved in people who have dementia. Vera and others found benefits when new information was taught to stroke patients in song form. Those with no aphasia could recall a new story more evenly if it were taught as a song, as opposed to being taught as words only. And those who did have aphasia were better able to chunk words together to remember them when taught a new story by singing. Singing therapies after brain trauma. Melodic intonation therapy, MIT, particularly as part of a board-certified music therapy practice, helps brain-injured patients regain speech. It certainly worked for my mother after her stroke. Kasdan and Kieran reported that melody provides a framework for word retrieval. This is a photograph of former Arizona Representative Gabrielle Giffords, who suffered a traumatic brain injury. And her recovery to date is a famous success story for MIT. Number 2, Parkinson's disease, gait rhythm. Walking with consistently timed steps is often challenging for people with Parkinson's. Harrison and others found that when patients sang a song, walking was less variable than when other gait cues, such as a metronome or recorded music, were used. Why? Participants were not required to match their singing or footsteps to an external source, which would have required them to engage competing cognitive processes. Parkinson's patients could therefore generate and follow their own regular rhythm with a song. In clinical trials with Parkinson's sufferers involving group singing, Tamplin and others found that vocal loudness and vocal quality of life factors, think communication and self-expression, improved after participants attended weekly or monthly group singing sessions. Third, here's a surprising category: immune function as measured by increases in salivary immunoglobulin A after singing. IgA is in the main class of antibodies present in saliva, mucus, and tears, and it's typically considered the first line of defense against environmental factors. In an experiment with Kuhn and others, the active group experienced an increase in IgA after singing and playing percussion, as indicated on the graph here. Notice that they did not separate the effects of singing from the effects of playing tone bars in this experiment, and I wish they had, but actually other scientists have. In a study by Kreitz and others, participants reported a decrease in negative mood and an increase in positive mood after choir singing. Their IgA concentrations also increased after group singing. Fourth, reward and motivation. Singing in a low-stress situation, not a performance, activates the reward centers in the brain, which results in the uptake of neurotransmitters like oxytocin and endorphins like dopamine. Callan and others reported that singing's greater involvement in the brain regions involved with reward, rather than those involved for a speaking task, suggests greater emotional component in the processing of singing, that is enjoyment, nostalgia, love, commitment. These rewards naturally help participants continue with therapies that utilize singing. And fifth, supports group bonding. In their study, Clift and Hancock's were particularly interested in people who were dealing with enduring emotional stressors, such as depression, and recent bereavement. Those participants expressed these feelings after group singing. When you sing, you cannot be sad for long. Singing puts your troubles on hold. Singing helps with the signs of anxiety. That's a whole other topic. Better breathing, better coordination, better group feeling. Choir is an intrinsically social activity. Choir helps make friends, and people come together to make a unified impact when singing together. Yasmin and others posit that detecting synchrony in vocal production, synchrony, with another person in a live setting, makes the brain respond as if the participant were only listening to the other person, as opposed to vocalizing simultaneously with another. So instead of paying attention to the sounds the participant is making, the participant's brain is attending more to the sounds of the other. They suggest that this fact may lead to a change in the perceptual consequences of one's actions. So singing's not expensive, and it is available to everyone, but many people don't sing because they don't think they can. However, it really doesn't matter if you sing beautifully or not. To close this transformative conference, please join me in a simple but profound chorus, which I learned from the great performer, community song leader, and activist pictured here, Issei Barnwell. In this recording I'll play, you'll have time to listen for a bit before you choose a part to sing. As you join, please absorb the message of personal responsibility. Please absorb the message of personal responsibility even as your brain benefits from the singing. Our world and its people are in trouble right now, and we must all locate places where we can find optimism. Thank you so much for this marvelous opportunity to speak to this in this transformative conference. I especially want to thank my friends who contributed video and audio recordings of themselves singing We Are the Ones. And I want to thank Lawson Malnery, my student, who engineered that wonderful recording, and also to Mario Vasquez Marias, who helped me with the Spanish translations. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, it was wonderful to listen to you. We are the ones who thank you so much. So this video, last video, has been truly moving and very powerful. I hope the audience feels as I do right now, really wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing this magic moment with us. Now I'm gonna switch to Spanish. Para concluir, ya estamos realmente llegando al final. Quiero nuevamente invitar al doctor Facundo Manes. Él nos compartirá unas muy breves palabras para concluir esta jornada. Antes que eso, igual, quería agradecerles a casi los 16.000 inscriptos de los 43 países que en algún momento del día de hoy nos acompañaron. Gracias a nuestros sponsors, a quienes leeré rápidamente, pero que han sido de vital importancia para poder realizar un evento de esta naturaleza. El BID, como aliado estratégico, Pan American Energy, Compañía General de Combustibles, Cuidarlos, AR Partners, Movistar, BBU francés, Banco de Valores, Gador, Grupo Insud, Laboratorio Elea Fénix, Glaxo, el Gobierno de la Ciudad de Buenos Aires, Bagó, ProPymes, Findel, General Motors, la Bolsa de Comercio de Buenos Aires, Prevención Salud y Facebook, y a nuestros colaboradores institucionales, que es de gran importancia para nosotros, como Infobae, con la cobertura de todo el evento, COPRAD, Corporación Profesional Alzheimer y otras demencias de Chile, por supuesto el BID, Intramed, Tech Audiovisual, Instituto de Neurociencias de la Fundación Favaloro, FAMACI, Facultas Mario Quintana, Mental Health Cluster de Cataluña y la Universidad Católica de Uruguay. Por supuesto, agradecer a nuestro equipo de Fundación INECO, que sin ellos este evento sería imposible de realizar, y con especial dedicatoria a los coordinadores científicos de este simposio, al doctor Julián Bustín y a la licenciada Fernanda Giralfont. Además quería avisarles, y con esto ya me despido, que todas las charlas del día de hoy quedarán activas y guardadas para ser escuchadas nuevamente por 10 días en nuestra plataforma. Así que si uno tiene un poquito de tiempo durante los próximos 10 días, sería importante que vuelvan a chequear todo lo que hemos aprendido hoy acerca de la construcción del bienestar y cómo el mismo está en nuestras manos. Ahora, Facundo, te dejo a vos para las últimas palabras.
Muchas gracias, Teresa. Quiero agradecer a todas las personas que hicieron posible este evento, a todos los miembros de la Fundación INECO, a la presidenta de la Fundación INECO, Teresa Torralba, a los profesionales que le ayudaron, al equipo técnico, administrativo, a toda la Fundación INECO. Han hecho un trabajo increíble. Quiero agradecer a las más de 16.000 personas que estuvieron conectadas, que se inscribieron, y a los miles que la van a ver en las redes en los próximos días. Quiero agradecer a los sponsors, a los speakers internacionales, a los disertantes internacionales que le han dado a este evento una trascendencia personal, pero también de calidad científica internacional. La Fundación INECO todos los años realiza un evento anual de neurociencias, de un tema en particular. Hasta ahora estaba reservado a los profesionales de la salud, a los científicos, y este año decidimos abrirlo a la comunidad porque creemos que esta pandemia nos va a cambiar. A lo largo de la historia, las epidemias siempre han llevado a grandes cambios sociales, las pandemias siempre cambiaron a la sociedad, y lo más probable que esta pandemia nos cambie. Y como vimos hoy, tenemos herramientas para desarrollar resiliencia, luego del dolor inicial, con impacto social y emocional. Vamos a, como dijimos durante el día, vamos a encontrar un nuevo significado, un nuevo propósito en la vida. Vamos a, aunque parezca mentira, vamos a desarrollar unas nuevas fuerzas, confianzas internas, mayor apreciación de los vínculos. Y una palabra clave es la empatía, ¿no? Que nos permite imaginar qué piensa el otro, qué siente el otro. Es muy posible que muchos de nosotros nos volvamos más altruistas, compasivos, y que el bienestar de los demás empiece a tomar más importancia que el propio éxito o el estatus individual. Nos vamos a fusionar, vamos hacia un todo, y esto no sucede de manera lineal, tenemos que trabajar. Por eso queríamos compartir con ustedes todo el conocimiento científico para abordar el bienestar. No sabemos cómo será el mundo una vez que le venzamos al COVID. Le vamos a ganar, el ser humano nuevamente le va a ganar un virus gracias a la salud, a la ciencia, a la innovación. Quizás tardemos un tiempo, un largo tiempo por delante, pero le vamos a ganar. Lo que estamos seguros desde Fundación INECO, que este proceso nos va a obligar a reconsiderar quiénes somos, qué valoramos de verdad, y en el largo plazo todo este proceso puede ayudarnos significativamente a redescubrir nuestra mejor versión. Y creo que hoy Fundación INECO nos dio herramientas para buscar esta mejor versión, tanto a nivel individual como comunitario. Muchas gracias.